What's up, FA Nation? It is a Thursday night. We are getting ready for Thursday Night Football, such as it is. I'm your host, Jen Piacenti, joined by none other than the Adam Ronis. Adam, I think we have so much to talk about. We were already arguing like brother and sister before this even started, yelling at each other, which was worse, injuries or games being postponed. It was getting nasty, but I decided we should just save it and do it for everyone to enjoy. So what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know if that was much arguing, because I can get a lot worse than that. But yeah, it's a tough week for everyone. We obviously know the postponement of the Titans and Steelers has made life difficult for some, especially if you have multiple players from those teams on your same fantasy team. So you just treat it like a bye, and you have to do the best possible. A lot of waivers ran before the official postponement today, so hopefully you have another waiver wire or first come first serve in your leagues to kind of address it. We have some injuries popping up today that we weren't aware of going into today, so we knew this year we've been pretty lucky so far the first 3 weeks as far as COVID related situations. We haven't had any
Right.
problems. And look, it was inevitable. We were going to have something postponed. You know this.
You're
We
right.
follow baseball, and we had a lot of issues. So it's been pretty smooth so far. Let's hope that we don't have too many situations like this arise in the future. And, we just have to do the best possible. Some of us are not going to have ideal lineups this week. We just got to do the best we can, and we're here to help.
Yeah, we're here to help. And I know there's going to be a lot of questions because of this. I know I've already been having to answer questions that I hate, people that need to drop someone like Joshua Kelly or Mark Ingram, because that's all the room they have to make a play this week, to be able to play someone. So I hate it for you guys. I'm sorry. But it's just where we are, and at least we're all playing by the same rules. So let's just kick off by talking about tonight's game. Jets, Broncos, who you got?
I actually think the Jets are going to win this game tonight. They're 1-point favorites. They're at home. They're going up against Rippin, rookie quarterback. We saw last week, threw an interception. I think the Broncos went with him because he's a little bit more decisive, but he doesn't have a strong arm. Look, he's got some weapons around him. The Jets at least get back Jamison Crowder. He is active tonight. I am going to be using him in one of my lineups in my home league, but that's a pretty deep league. We start 2 running backs, 3 receivers, and 2 flexes, and I have some injuries myself, so I'm going to roll with him. I think he's a wide receiver 3 tonight in PPR leagues, so if you really need him, you can roll with him. I know they said he wasn't 100% healthy, which kind of scares me, but we know that Darnold is going to look for him, and Crowder's put up really good numbers with Darnold, and he was lacking a weapon. So, and I actually think it will help Chris Herndon a little bit too. I know he's been a major disappointment, and I'm not saying start him, but I have him like right around tight end 20 this week because remember, we have no Ebron now. We have no Jonnu Smith. So I have a league where I have Jonnu Smith and Chris Herndon. And there's only one more waiver wire period, and it's Friday night. There's not a lot on waivers. I think Greg Olsen might be the best guy. And I don't know if, there's no big difference. And I can't wait and then lose Greg Olsen. So I'm just going to roll with Herndon, and having another option there like Crowder could maybe open things up for Herndon. And again, this is a matchup where the Jets might be able to do something. I'm not saying they're going to put up a ton of points. Frank Gore, I don't love. We were talking about it before the show. You said you might have to start him tonight. Look, if you're desperate and you lost Derrick Henry and James Conner, you might have to go with Gore. He'll get 15 to 17 carries. He's not involved in a passing game, but we know this. If they get near the goal line,
He's going to get that
ball. And, we did see P. Ryan get about 7 carries last week. On the Denver side, Melvin Gordon, you roll with him. I haven't seen – they said Phillip Lindsay earlier today was doubtful. I haven't seen the Denver inactives yet. I'm assuming he's out. So Gordon, you roll with him. Judy is fine if you need him. And Noah Fant. And that's about it. I do like KJ Hamler a lot, but I noticed last week he didn't play the slot much, and that's where he needs to be. He's a guy that I have stashed in deeper leagues, but yeah, there's not a lot here tonight, for sure. We know that from a fantasy perspective. I think the total's 41, so don't expect many points tonight. We know it's not the best game, probably the worst Thursday night game so far.
Probably. But like you said, because of all the absences, injuries, whatever you want to call them, there are a lot of people that will need to make choices about playing people tonight. Case in point, I have a league that's very deep with very skilled players, and I have Derrick Henry in there. Tevin Coleman was supposed to be kind of my backup guy in these situations. Tevin Coleman's out, so now I'm making a choice between Latavius Murray and Frank Gore, and it feels so gross. But I think I'm going to go with Gore just because why else do I even have Gore? This is the exact situation he's for COVID-19, while Le'Veon Bell is out, when they're not facing a great defense. So I'm rolling with it, guys. I feel a little sick about it. You guys feel free to reach out to me and offer me your condolences if you feel like you should, because it's probably going to need them. And if Latavius Murray goes off, I'm going to be really upset. But whatever. Probably can't win this week anyway, rolling without Derrick Henry.
Hey, look, you never know. Just you put it in the lineup. Hey, look, the other team could get injuries. They could underperform. You know, that's what everyone does. They look, I have no shot this week. You never know. Maybe if you play Gore, maybe he gets 2 touchdowns, right? It's possible. So you can't go in. You don't want to think negatively. And trust me, I have a team that's terrible. Like, I know it's done. There's no way it's going to do anything. But I'm going to keep putting the lineup out and making waivers every week. Like that league, I lost Barkley, A.J. Brown. Now I don't have Deontay Johnson this week. I had Perryman, Sims. I've had to cut them. I had Edwards from the Raiders. He's not playing. Like my bench, I had James White, who wasn't inactive for 2 weeks. He's back this week. The team's an absolute train wreck. I have Carson Wentz on there and Gardner Minshew. I played Minshew last week. He sucked. But you know what, though? When you play in so many leagues, you're going to have one that turns out like that. But just don't abandon it. Just keep playing it out. Set your lineup, do waivers, and that's it. That's all you can do.
Silver lining for those of you with Deontay Johnson and A.J. Brown, you may actually get one more week of fantasy production from him. So there is that to look at, I guess.
If we're taking the positives out, right?
Yeah. That's a positive. Brown could be back next week. You could get a week more, and Deontay Johnson. And guys, everybody's so panicked about dropping their Pittsburgh players or Tennessee players and figuring out what to do. Go right now and put claims in for Chase Claypool. Just, go pick him up. Nobody's going to notice. Just go grab him, go stash him. Like, there's a lot of ways you can spin this to be positive. Get creative. Get creative if you need to win. So, all right, I'm going to pop over here, see what kind of questions we got. All right, I'm over in YouTube, and I have a question. In a standard league, Fuller, Devonta Freeman, Melvin Gordon, or Ayuk? I'm assuming one flex. Pick one flex. Fuller, Devonta Freeman, Melvin Gordon, or Ayuk?
I like Fuller a lot this week, but I will say he did pop up in the injury report today with a hamstring. Surprise, surprise. And you have Gordon tonight. So I'm going to go with Gordon. Usually, running backs are going to get the most touches. And I'm assuming Lindsey is out. I haven't seen the inactives yet, but today they were saying that Lindsey was going to be out. So I'm going to go with Gordon there. But I do like Fuller this week, especially though and I'm looking at the inactives. Lindsey is inactive. So both well for Gordon. He's going to get a big workload. We haven't seen a lot of Royce Freeman. So in that situation, I'm going to go with Melvin Gordon.
Yeah. All right. So PPR flex, we got Greg Ward, Sony Michel, Devonta Freeman, Brandon Ayuk, or Hunter Renfrow. Ooh, Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, I'm going Renfrow here. He gets the Bills, who their biggest weakness is against the slot. We've seen it so far every single week. Looks like Ruggs and Edwards are going to be out. I'm going to go, with Renfrow. Ayuk's not a bad play either. He's interesting too, because I think Deebo Samuel will be out another week. They did activate him off IR, but it looks like week 5 for him. I lean Renfrow, but check my rankings Sunday morning for an update. But I will be updating them. I did an update today, this afternoon, and there's going to be a lot more updates because we have a lot of injuries that we're not sure about. But right now, I'm leaning Renfrow.
PPR flex, Joshua Kelly, Sony Michel, or Devonta Freeman?
Oh, boy. I'm going to go Kelly. I know they said Freeman's role is going to increase this week, but they're still going to use 3 backs. They're going to have Gallman and Lewis. I just can't roll with him. Sony Michel, this, to me, is a bad game script for him this week. But he looked great last week, and he had 2 big runs, which we have never seen from him. But James White is back at practice. They do have Burkhead. I'm assuming they're going to be playing from behind against Kansas City, and that's going to set up better for James White and Burkhead.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Crowder, Schultz, Deshaun Jackson, or Marvin Jones in PPR.
I think I'm gonna go Crowder here.
Really? You're
Yeah.
going to go Crowder. You're trusting him and Sammy Darnold together.
It's either him or Marvin Jones. And I've kind
Right.
of been underwhelmed with Marvin Jones. I liked him
Yeah.
going into the year, but I've been disappointed. I mean, Galladay being back should help him a little bit because he won't get the defensive attention. And I did see Marshawn Lattimore did not practice today for the Saints. That would be big too. So um, I know there definitely is a little risk with Crowder. So if you want to go the safe route, you can go Jones, but I think Crowder safe. I think Crowder, as long as he's healthy, is going to get 5, 6 receptions tonight. And if that goes for 60 yards and he somehow finds the end zone, it's a good night.
Okay, Crowder it is. All right. Do you like the Jets DST tonight?
If you're desperate, this is a terrible week for defenses. Um,
Mm-hmm. It is.
It really is bad. I mean, for real. I mean, think about it. Like one of the top streamers this week is Denver because they're playing the Jets. So I actually do have the Jets in my top 15 this week. So it's not do I like them? It's what are you comparing them to? But look, they're playing a banged up Denver team with an inexperienced quarterback who wasn't drafted, who we saw last week for the first time. So the Jets defense isn't that good, but they have Greg Williams, defensive coordinator, who can cause some confusion for Ripon, and they're home short week. So yeah, the Jets are viable tonight. Do I want to say I like the Jets defense? No, I can't say those words.
Yeah, I mean, nobody can. But yeah, it is a really tough week for defenses. That's what I've been looking at too. I mean, like I've had a few defense questions, and really the only one that seems like an obvious yes is like the Ravens. I mean, is there anybody else that's an obvious?
Yeah, I mean the Rams against the Giants. They
The
might
Rams.
be
The Rams.
available in
That's right.
a couple leagues. I like the Bucks against the Chargers, but there's
I'm not opposed to the Kansas City
yeah,
defense actually versus New England.
they're good. They showed it last week, and I know you got to figure New England's going to pass more this week than they have been. Kind of like that Seattle game where Cam had to play from behind, and Cam played well, but you could get a pick six. Cam could run and fumble it. So yeah, Kansas City. I think I have them in the top 15 in my rankings this week too.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have to admit that they're better than we've given them credit for. I mean, the fact that they could stop that Baltimore run game, I mean, was impressive. And it's time to start taking them pretty seriously. So, yeah, I like them versus New England. Let's talk about the over-under for that game. Are you taking – it's predicted to be one of the higher run totals. Run totals. Guys, it's also MLB playoffs tonight, so please forgive me. By the way, congratulations to the Atlanta Braves who did advance today, and I'm so happy that I don't have to hear any more from Trevor Bauer.
You'll still hear from him. He'll
That's
be
a
on.
side note.
You think he's not going to tweet?
Of course he's going to tweet. He's got nothing else to do because his team is not in the playoffs anymore.
You can't blame him. He was great. He had an epic performance.
Okay, can we talk about this BS that I'm listening to on the MLB channel? And I don't have any questions here, guys. So if you don't want me to talk baseball, you better write in with an NFL question because you're not giving them to me. So this is my chance to vent here for a second. I've got all these people on MLB Network, ESPN, be like, wow, it's so impressive. A 13 strikeout game in the playoffs. This has never happened before. Yeah, because there's never been playoffs before after only 62 games. Of course they can go longer. Of course they're not tired yet. Like, are we really so impressed? I think there should be an asterisk next to that Trevor Bauer, 13 strikeout game.
Like the Astros World Series? Oh,
I'm sorry, but the Astros actually advanced, unlike the Reds. And, not with a 13 strikeout game. So they must be a better complete team.
He was good. You can't dispute that. He was phenomenal.
He was good. But when we start talking about like record breaking stuff because of when they start talking about how many records are being broken this year in the playoffs, I think that you can't really, because, they're talking about, the Reds and the Braves going so long without a hit. And I get it. That's really cool. But that might not happen in a 162-game season. Let's be realistic. People are going to be more worn down. They're not going to have as much gas in the tank. They're warmed up. They're in good form. This is peak form for someone like Jacob deGrom or, Trevor Bauer, Clayton Kershaw. They should all be good right now.
Except Shane Bieber.
Except Shane Bieber, who got knocked around. Yankees bullied him, man.
Yeah,
okay, still no football questions, guys. Come on. Nothing? Nobody wants to know why I'm starting Frank Gore. I'm going to check my Twitter account. So, all right. So what are your favorite games to bet this weekend? Dallas
Um,
and Cleveland. You got to have a piece of that, right?
with you said the Cleveland game.
Cleveland, Dallas in your
I haven't
DFS.
decided what I'm betting on yet. I kind of wait till later in the week. I'm too busy doing waivers and setting my lineups to really kind of get into what games I like this week. So I'm going to start looking at them like tomorrow.
Okay. Here's a question: Noah Fant or Jimmy Graham?
I'm going to go with Fant here. I know Graham has been very good, well, 2 of the 3 games, but the passing tree targets are limited for Denver, and I think they're going to look for Rippon to get rid of the ball really quickly. So Fant is the guy I'm going to go with. Graham still relying on touchdowns, so I'm going to go with Fant. He's a bigger piece of his team's offense.
Do you believe that Graham should have been one of the top waiver wire targets this week, or do you think that was just coincidental that he had such a good game once Blake Bortles entered? Blake Bortles, Nick Foles.
If you need a tight end, I'm okay with it because I know the Bears felt that they felt that the Packers didn't utilize Graham properly last year. That's why they paid him the money, and he has looked better. And he is a guy that in the red zone, could use his body to catch the football. So I do think he's a viable pickup if you need a tight end. I did put in a bid for him in a league to where I'm struck. Well, I don't have a great backup tight end, but I fell short.
Should I start Todd Gurley or Joe Mixon?
I would go with Mixon. Look, if there's any week that Mixon is going to come through, it should be this one going up against Jacksonville. I understand it's been a very frustrating season so far for those that have Mixon, and I do have him in one league. They have not utilized him enough in the passing game, but this should be a game where he finds some room. Gurley, the problem with Gurley is he's just not the same player that he was, and we did see Brian Hill get into the game last week and have that nice touchdown run. And this is also a game I think that they play from behind, obviously. Mm-hmm. And we just haven't seen Gurley used enough in the passing game. So I'm going to go with Joe Mixon. I think this will be the best week of the season for Joe Mixon so far. And I know that's not saying much because he has yet to score a touchdown, but this could be a good Joe Mixon game.
So on that same note, do you feel that this should be a good Kenyon Drake week as well? I mean, the matchup certainly says it should be. I know managers have been very disappointed so far with Kenyon Drake, but you got to roll with Drake versus the Panthers, right?
Yeah, you do. The Panthers have allowed the second most fantasy points to running backs this year. The problem that has hurt Drake is, number one, he hasn't been involved in the passing game enough. And obviously, Kyler Murray is taking those touchdowns away from him near the goal line. There was a play last week. I'm like, all right, come on, feed Drake. And it was the play where Kyler Murray just froze a defender, made him look silly, and then scored a touchdown. So that's really what's hurting him. And we've seen it with Josh Allen and the Bills running backs. Those rushing quarterbacks really hurt the running backs. But Drake's getting the touches, and you just got to hope that either they give him some touches near the goal line or he's able to break off a 15, 20-yard run for a score. But, yeah, if you have Drake this week, you got to stay patient and roll with him. Trust me, I know. I have him in a few leagues. It has been very frustrating.
And speaking of quarterbacks who take touchdowns away from their running backs, how are you feeling about Singletary this week? Because his matchup also looks really good. And if Zach Moss weren't playing, I'd say, yeah, absolutely. But now Moss is back at practice. So how's your feeling about Devin Singletary?
Not as good as last week. I mean, last week I think I had him in the top 20. This week he won't be there. Sounds like Moss is going to play. And they gave Singletary a couple opportunities near the goal line last week, and he couldn't cash them in. That was probably something that he needed for them to have any confidence in him going forward, giving him the ball in that spot. So not as high on Singletary this week if Moss is back on the field.
All right, Brendan Davis asks, Darren Waller or Will Fuller in the flex?
I think should be a good game for both, but I'm going to go with Fuller this week. Again, the Texans were a great buy low. If you didn't do it already, you could still make trades. People are down on the Texans. Look at the schedule that they opened up with: the Chiefs, Steelers, and Ravens. I mean, that's ridiculous. It opens up, and it begins this week against Minnesota. We've seen how bad that defense is, especially in the secondary. So just keep an eye on the injury report, because Fuller was put on the injury report today, limited with a hamstring injury. It's always scary with Fuller, but if he's a go, I'm rolling with him.
I mean, the good news is that you don't have to make that decision tonight. So if you have to put in Darren Waller, you're in good shape. All right. Trade Miles Sanders for Drake and Galladay or Thielen.
I mean, I'd rather keep Sanders, but if you're getting Drake and a receiver, yeah, I'm cool with that. Because to me, look, Sanders is better than Drake. We know the Eagles have definitely offensive line problems, quarterback issues. Their schedule the next 3 weeks is really tough. They have San Francisco, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh. But I still like Sanders, and he's going to get the touches. And he would have had a 50-yard touchdown last week if Wentz didn't miss him wide open. But if you're going to get Drake and a wide receiver, if you need the help, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah, if you need the wide receiver. If you don't need the wide receiver, though, I wouldn't do it. I would stick with Miles Sanders. The other thing is, like, there's just not a lot of options in Philadelphia right now.
Yeah.
So, in theory, Miles Sanders should get more work. Now, I guess he practiced limited today, so maybe they're just being careful with his hamstring. I hope that's all it is.
I think so.
Because I have him in the same league. I have Derrick Henry, and that league should be smashing.
So do I.
It's our GST league. I have Henry and Sanders, which should be a 1-2 punch, but obviously no Henry this week, so kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it really is.
So,
I have Sanders and Henry in a league too, so Sanders better play or I'm screwed.
Guys, I am checking in on Periscope. If you're writing questions, I can't see them. Feel free to write them on the actual tweet where I retweeted this, and I will keep checking that, or on Facebook. But right now, we're just hanging on YouTube for a little bit. All right. Start Lazard, John Brown, or Corey Davis. Well, you can't start Corey Davis because there's no game this week for Tennessee. If you guys haven't heard, the Pittsburgh-Tennessee game has been postponed, and not just a Monday or Tuesday like originally reported. It's going to be sometime later in the season, and your points should not accrue towards your week 4. They should accrue the week that the game is played. So take Corey Davis, take Ryan Tannehill, take Juju Smith-Schuster, Big Ben, all out of your lineups. They should not be in your lineups.
Yeah, Alan Lazard is dealing with a core muscle injury, so he's going to be seeing a specialist. It does not sound good. They're talking about surgery or recovery. This is a similar injury that Odell Beckham had and played with last year. But do not count on Lazard right now. And they play Monday night. So that's what I'm saying. This happens all the time. You know, people ask. This is why I don't like answering start-sit questions on Tuesday and Wednesday, because a lot of times we don't know injuries that happen on Sunday. And these guys show up to the facility on Wednesday or Thursday, and sometimes they have swelling or they have something that wasn't bothering them during the game. And Lazard's a perfect example. Like, we didn't hear anything about this until today when he wasn't seen at practice. So this is a real tough break for those that have Lazard, because he's been putting up numbers, averaging 85 yards per game, had the big game last week without Devontae Adams, and then this week against Atlanta. So this is good news for MVS. Devontae Adams looks like he's going to be back. He did practice today.
And so then we're taking John Brown out of this trio, Lazard, John Brown, or Corey Davis. However, John Brown also dealing with a slight injury, so keep your eye out there.
He did practice today, right? Wasn't he limited? So
he did practice today limited, and he's played through this specific calf injury before. He did 2 weeks ago and had a good game. So I think that John Brown's going to be okay. I hope so, because I need him. So I'm going John Brown here. Fuller or Mixon in the flex?
Again, I like Fuller, but I think you have to go with Mixon here. Look, if you have Mixon and you can't play him this week, then I don't know when you're ever going to play him. He should, the thing is, he's getting the touches. It's just it hasn't resulted in positive yards. The offensive line has been terrible. He's getting tackled as soon as he touches the ball. But against Jacksonville, it's a good matchup, and this should be a competitive game. So I'm going to roll with Mixon here.
Okay, need 2. Cobb, Kelly, or Traquan?
I like Cobb. He's had double-digit points in PPR formats in each of the last 2 games. He's looked better than Cooks, and it's a great matchup against Minnesota. And then it was Traquan, and who was the other?
Kelly.
I think I'm going to have to go with Kelly, because I don't like Traquan as much with Michael Thomas coming back. It looks like Thomas is going to be back. I think he was limited in practice today. You want to see a full practice, but it is trending towards Thomas playing. And if he does, that's going to hurt Traquan. Now, Jared Cook didn't practice today, so he might not play this week, but we see they're going to feed the ball to Kamara a ton. Thomas is going to get a ton of targets. That leaves very little for Sanders and Traquan. So I can't really play Traquan if Thomas is back.
Okay, over on Periscope, we have someone saying start Cobb, yes. Unless you have someone a lot better, I think Cobb is a strong start this week. As we've been saying, the Minnesota secondary has given up the second most points to wide receivers so far this year. It's just probably a really good spot for Cobb this week versus the Vikings. All right, Gibson, Tate, or Crowder in the flex for a PPR league?
All right, it's not Tate. There's a tough matchup here, although they'll be playing from behind, but the Giants have given us no indication. So it comes down to Crowder or Gibson. I actually have both in the same league. I'm going to go with Gibson. I know it's a tough matchup, but you got to hope that he gets the volume. But it's close. If you want to go Crowder, I'm not going to argue with you. They both have some type of risk to them. Gibson, I wish he was playing more. I think the amount of snaps he's playing hasn't been enough. He's salvaged his day with a couple of touchdowns. It is a very difficult matchup. I just want to see him more involved in the passing game. I'm not sure why it's not happening because he played some receiver in college. So it should be a skill that he has. So I'll go Gibson, but if you want to go Crowder, I won't argue with you.
All right, Noah Fant or Zach Ertz?
Oh, you got to go Ertz.
Zach Ertz.
Sure. I mean, Goddard is out, and they have no receivers left. It's crazy. So Ertz is just going to be flooded with targets. I know it's San Fran, but still, you got to roll with Ertz, man. You got to.
Yeah, you have to. And also, I love Noah Fant, but we still don't really know what's going to happen with this quarterback. We haven't really seen him play a full NFL game. So I just don't feel comfortable starting any Broncos tonight until I see what the connection looks like, if I don't have to. Now, I understand a lot of us have to based on what's going on. So if you have to, you have to. Do you think Julio will end up starting this week?
I think so. It seems like he is. So Calvin Ridley is a little bit of a concern. He didn't practice today with an ankle injury. So that's something to keep an eye on. But my guess, I do have Julio in the rankings right now, so I am expecting him to play.
Man, if Calvin Ridley doesn't play, I mean, Dan Quinn is really, really, really on the hot seat because they're really, 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 really in trouble. Do we know about Russell Gage? Have you heard?
Yeah, he was practicing. He was dealing with a concussion. So I believe he was at practice today. Yeah, because they said Julio and Gage were out there. Ridley was not.
Okay. All right. That makes a lot of sense to me. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about some ways to attack DFS this week. Do you have any favorite quarterbacks based on their matchup this week?
I think at this point, you don't want to play around. I mean, Russell Wilson is crushing it, right? And he gets Miami.
Right.
So
yeah.
I have no problem playing him, even though you got to spend up for him. He's just no one's stopping him right now, So I think at this point, you don't mess around and you can play him. Some other guys you can look at are Josh Allen, another guy that's crushing it, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, too.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, you don't have to pay up much more to get some of these elite guys, but I could see Watson have a big week this week. Joe Burrow is not a bad option. He's been throwing a ton. The only risk with him is if they do have success on the ground and he throws less, but Burrow's played very well, and that game might see some points. But it's just kind of tough to get away from these elite quarterbacks right now, the Russell Wilson, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, who are doing so much.
And it looks like DeAndre Hopkins was out with ankle issues today, which terrifies me. If he's out, does this downgrade Kyler Murray for you?
A little bit, but he's going to run. He can rush in two touchdowns, and then maybe they get Christian Kirk back. We saw what Andy Isabella did last week. He could throw to the running back. So it's something to keep an eye on because Hopkins was probably going to be popular, even though he's by far the highest priced receiver, is $8,500 on DraftKings, but you understand why. I mean, he's just getting flooded with targets every single week, so the floor is immense. He's got 37 targets. I mean, it's insane what he's getting right now. So the floor is high. I mean, he has at least 20 DK points in each of the 3 games. The thing is, Hopkins is a veteran, so he doesn't need to practice much to go out there, but you do want to see some activity for him tomorrow. But that's what I'm saying. Like, all of a sudden, this week, we've seen these injuries pop up late. Hopkins, Ridley, Lazard. just making things a little bit tough in a week where we're already dealing with the postponement of a game. So that's why I've always said this. You just wait to make these decisions. I can't imagine people have a lot of players going tonight. But the good thing is you just wait till Sunday until we get all the news. And maybe we get some news tomorrow. Maybe some guys are ruled out. But it's shaping up to be a lot of game time decisions. And the worst part is, though, we do have Monday night with Atlanta. So you got to hope that we get this Ridley and Julio news before. And Devontae Adams.
And Devontae Adams.
Yeah. It sounds like he's going to play, though. So we'll have better idea of this stuff Friday night and especially Sunday morning.
All right. Boyd, Gibson, Gaskin, Hollywood. Need only one for a flex and a PPR.
Oh, it was Boyd,
Gibson, Gaskin, Hollywood.
I'm going to go with Boyd, man. He's been the guy that Burrow's looking for, has Jacksonville. He's played very well, so I'm going to go with Boyd.
Yeah, Boyd caught 10 of his 13 targets last week for 125 yards, and he's matching up versus the corner in Jacksonville that just literally Pro Football Focus rated him like 50. Like, he's not good. He's the guy that, gave up a lot of points to Adam Humphries and Paris Campbell. So I think that we can count on Tyler Boyd having a good day at the stadium on Sunday. That's my hope. I am playing Tyler Boyd when I can. I happen to notice he's only $6,000 on FanDuel. He's 61 on DraftKings, so they figured that out. But FanDuel looks like maybe they have it. So he's a good play in a lot of lineups this week if you are putting together a DFS lineup. I am on Facebook. It looks like we have no questions there. Let me pop over to Periscope and Twitter, see if we have anything here. Not right now. Maybe I'm just going to start asking you all my start-sit questions. So, Adam, would you trust John Brown to start on Sunday?
Not right now, because we don't know his status. I mean, I guess he was, limited? So I don't want to say – I can't say trust yet. So I kind of have to wait and see what he does on Friday. And if he does, then he's a fine start. The Bills have played more wide open. They have to travel cross country, play Vegas, but that offense has been putting up points. They weren't great in the second half last week. They got that fortunate pass interference call to go their way against the Rams to win. They were dominant in the first half, and then the second half they were terrible. But overall this year, they've been really good, and Josh Allen's played well.
And how are you feeling about the San Francisco backfield? Like, are you feeling good about Jerick McKinnon? Are you feeling like it's still Jeff Wilson Jr.? I mean, I know Mostert still could come back, but I've had a lot of questions about starting Jerick McKinnon. So what are your feelings on that?
I don't think Mostert plays this week. He didn't practice. So I think it's going to be McKinnon and Wilson again. And I'm fine starting them if you really need them. I think McKinnon is in a PPR is in that RB2 range and Wilson at RB3. We know Wilson scored a couple touchdowns last week. McKinnon got banged up late in the game, but he's fine. He said he's good to go. So Kittle's coming back. So that's going to open up more in the passing game for him. I'm sure they're going to look to get him involved quite a bit. But I think both running backs are decent plays this week, especially in a week where we already lost Derrick Henry, we lost Connor, and running back's kind of tough right now. So if those are your options, I think you can use them. I have Wilson in a lot of leagues, so he's going to be an option for me this week.
Would you rather start Jerick McKinnon or Devin Singletary?
I think I would go McKinnon, especially if Moss is active. Then I'll go McKinnon.
Right. That's what I was thinking too. That's what I told someone actually. So I'm just double checking all the questions I've got that you agreed with me and answered them the correct way as well. Should I pick up Rex Burkhead from free agency if I have an extra place?
I mean, if you have extra spots, sure, but you can't count on what happened last week to going forward. We've been through this before with New England. So if you have an open spot and he's the best option, sure, but there might be someone better out there without knowing how many teams are in the league and what's available. Certainly doesn't hurt to have him on the roster, but with James White coming back, that's just going to make this backfield more complex. And Damian Harris is off IR. I don't know if he's going to play this week, but we've been through this with the Patriots before. And let's not forget, Cam Newton is going to get a lot of goal line carries. So Burkhead, what he did last week, is probably going to be the best game we see from him this year. I don't mind putting him on a roster, but that backfield is going to be a headache going forward. I mean, James White, to me, is the best play in that backfield this week because I expect him to play from behind, and White's going to be utilizing the passing game.
All right, jumping back over to Periscope. Flex, AJ Green, Crowder, Justin Jefferson.
I'm going to go with Crowder here. Again, the Jets just don't have a lot of options on offense, and we've seen Crowder put up good numbers. It's close. It's between him and Jefferson for sure. I know people are going to want to roll with Jefferson after what he did last week. If you want to, that's fine. I think it's very close, but I lean Crowder. Again, I think Crowder should get 5-6 receptions tonight, and if he does that, that should go for 60, 70 yards. Maybe he finds the end zone. So and Jefferson, we know there's a huge ceiling there. And if they play from behind, which I think they will against Houston, he could put up a good game. I don't think he does what he did last week, but he had that one big play. But that was going against Jonathan Joseph, who's 36 years old. So, you really shouldn't be in this league in a corner at 36. You're going to get burned by especially a young receiver like Justin Jefferson. So I lean Crowder, but if you want to play Jefferson, that's fine. Because sometimes people just want confirmation. So they'll ask the question, and in their head, they're like, I want to go Jefferson. Is he going to say Jefferson? But if it's that close for you and Jefferson is the guy you want, I'm okay with it.
Okay, awesome. Let's go with McLaurin or Gallup or T. Higgins in a PPR.
Just one?
Just one. Sorry about that.
I'm going to go with McLaurin. I know the quarterback play with Haskins has been bad, and Coach Rivera talked about it. Makes it seem like they're not going to have a lot of patience. But as bad as it's been, McLaurin's produced. He's a really good receiver, so I'm going to continue to roll with McLaurin.
Mixon or James Robinson?
I think this is one where I will not say Mixon. I will go with James Robinson. He's looked really good. This should be a close game. The only concern with him is they do pull him out on some pass plays, but this should be a competitive game. I think Cincinnati's favored by 3. I expect it to be close. I expect points to be put up. Robinson's looked really good, so I'm going to go with Robinson here.
All right, Robin Michelle team asks, Standard League, Berrios tonight or Cobb, MVS, Miller, or Ford?
It's definitely not Berrios tonight with Crowder back. So it comes down to Cobb and MVS. If Lazard's out, I'm going MVS against Atlanta. You kind of have to.
Yeah. I agree. If Lazard's out, you're going against MVS. However, you may not know that in time because that's the Monday night game. So if you want to be safe, start Randall Cobb. He should have a good game this week. As we talked about, that matchup with Houston and Minnesota should be a good one for the receivers.
I think we will. I mean, Lazard's going to see a specialist. So I have a feeling we'll know by tomorrow, if not definitely by Sunday morning kickoff. So I think we should have an idea of what's going on with Lazard.
PPR flex, Ingram, Justin Jefferson, or David Johnson? I think it's David Johnson.
Yeah, he's just going to get – look, he's gotten big volume so far. He played like 94% of the snaps last week. Even if Duke Johnson comes back, this should be a game they play from ahead. There should be plenty of scoring opportunities. It's David Johnson.
Okay, I agree. Who do you think is going to win the game, Chargers or the Bucks?
I think the Bucks will. They're going to probably – he hasn't been ruled out yet. But Chris Godwin is doubtful. He's probably not playing. I don't know why they haven't ruled him out yet, but whatever. He's got a hamstring injury. It looks like 2 to 4 weeks. Scotty Miller did not practice again today. So a couple weapons down, but the Buccaneers defense has been pretty good. I know they haven't went up against great opponents, but against Herbert, who made some mistakes, I think Tampa wins the game.
Is Akers worth keeping? I've been asking myself this same question, so I want to know what you think.
Yeah, he is, for sure. I know he's probably not going to play this week. I know Henderson has looked good so far. They have Malcolm Brown there, but I would hold on to Akers. I am in my leagues. When he's healthy, I think they'll give him an opportunity. And it's just a matter of, can he be productive when he's on the field? He definitely looked nervous and jittery when we saw him early in the year. Understandable from a rookie with no training camp and no action, but they drafted him high. They talked about a committee. Henderson and Malcolm Brown split the snaps last week. I think they were both at 49%, but Henderson had 21 touches to 7 for Brown. So right now it's Henderson, but I would hold on to Akers if I could. I know there might be some people who are in dire straits right now, and maybe they can't. They don't have an IR spot. Hopefully you do. I mean, this was something we talked about a lot before the year. Most of my leagues have IR spots. I know in the high-stakes leagues they don't, but in the high-stakes leagues you got 10 bench spots. So, and also if you have 20 roster spots and you start adding IR spots, then you really thin out the waiver wire. So, but I would try and hold on to Akers if I could.
2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. So we need 5 altogether. Melvin Gordon, Mike Davis, Joe Mixon, DJ Chark, CeeDee Lamb, Myles Gaskin, or Justin Jefferson.
Gaskin and Jefferson would be out.
Okay, so we've got Gordon, Davis, Mixon, Chark, and Lamb. There you go.
Just make sure Chark plays.
Yeah, I think Chark's going to play. He practiced in full today from what I saw, and I think he's fine. Zach Pascal or Cobb in a PPR. I'm going Cobb.
Me too. I like Cobb this week. Again, 2 straight weeks, double-digit points in PPR. I think what happened is we all remembered the Thursday night game to open the season against the Chiefs, and we were like, "Where's Randall Cobb? Why isn't he getting targets?" But the last 2 weeks he's been involved, and this is the best matchup they've had so far against Minnesota. So I'm gonna go Randall Cobb.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys. I found you guys on Facebook. I'm gonna pop back over, see what's going on over here on Twitter. 1 point PPR, Crowder or McLaurin?
McLaurin. I know he's got the tough matchup against Baltimore. They'll be playing from behind. He's a guy that can make his day on one big play. So I got to stick with McLaurin, man. We drafted him in the 4th, 5th round knowing that the quarterback play might not be great. And McLaurin's found a way to be productive. Maybe he hasn't kind of hit that ceiling that we wanted, but he's still been productive fantasy-wise. So I'm going to stick with him.
All right. What are your thoughts on Zach Moss? This is from Tomahawk over on Periscope.
Look, he's someone that you want to have on your team. I think he's going to get the goal line carries. That's something that they've talked about. And Singletary has just not been great near the goal line. So, I mean, I like him. He's someone I want to have on my team on the bench, not someone I'm starting every week. We do have bye weeks starting next week. So now it's going to get, even though we technically have 2 teams on bye this week, wasn't planned, but the actual bye weeks are going to begin next week, and Moss is going to be viable. So, and I know he hasn't been great so far, but he did have a receiving touchdown in week 1. He's going to get about 10 to 12 touches every week. He had 12 in week 1, and he had 8 in week 2. So he's going to get 8 to 12, I think, most weeks.
Yeah, I don't know how much this matters, but coming out of camp, everyone was just raving about how good Randall Cobb looked. And I think that's part of why people were so disappointed week 1, because they read what the beat writer said, and they got excited. And then Randall Cobb put up a big fat nothing for them, so they got frustrated. But there obviously was some truth to that. And as we know, Will Fuller's constantly banged up. Brandon Cooks could get a concussion at any moment because it's like his hobby. So I think, that Randall Cobb is someone interesting to – don't drop him, and consider playing him. Horrible trade. Miles Sanders, Carson, T.Y. Hilton, and Fuller for Devontae Adams, David Johnson, and David Montgomery.
So wait, I got to hear this again.
Okay, Sanders? So let's do this again. Yeah, Sanders, Carson, Hilton, and Fuller for Adams, David Johnson, and David Montgomery. Why did we make this trade?
Yeah, look, here's the thing with trades, because people always ask, which side do you like better? That's not what it's about. It's not which side that someone just looks at in a vacuum.
I don't understand who's trying to get what from whom. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
A trade's about making your team better. So, I mean, I prefer the Sanders side, but it's all about, what do you need? How does it help your team? People want to win trades. That's not what it's about. It's about, does this help your team get better? So just looking at it, yeah, I mean, I'd rather have Sanders, Carson, Hilton, Fuller. But if you're acquiring those four, you also have to drop someone. Who's you're dropping? How many teams in the league? So there's so many things that go into a trade like this. But if you're just looking at it, I'd rather have the Sanders, Carson, Hilton, Fuller side. I love Miles Sanders. Carson is part of an explosive offense that they are passing a little bit more. He can catch football. Hilton, I think, look, Hilton's opportunity is now. Okay, there's no Paris Campbell. There's no Michael Pittman. I mean, if he can't do it now, then it's over.
He's not doing it.
And Fuller, look, Fuller is risky. We know that. The injuries, 20 games missed in the last 3 years. But if he can't stay on the field, he's got immense upside with Deshaun Watson. They have a rapport. They've worked together for years. And then the other side, love Devontae Adams, clearly. I still don't trust David Johnson long term. But I might be wrong on that. And Montgomery, obviously, his stock is up without Tariq Cohen, but they have mentioned using Cordero Patterson.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So I like the four side better, but it's all about improving your team. Like, I get questions on Twitter, which side do you like better? That's not what it's about. It's about how does it help your team? Because you could actually lose a trade, but it helps your team get better. I know people like that doesn't make sense. I think it's more in baseball, though, because it's so statistical based where you could be up big in home runs and you're trading away elite power because you need speed or saves to move up. And people will go, oh, no, that trade looks bad, but it really helps your team get better. I guess in football, it's a little bit more difficult to say that. But a trade is about making your team better, not winning the deal.
With Lazard having core muscle surgery, if MBS, so I guess assuming that he is, if MBS is not available on the wire, is Tanyan a good pickup?
No, breaking news. Lazard underwent core muscle surgery this week, and he's out indefinitely. Source, according to Adam Schefter.
And all of you who are freaking about I have to text Jerry Ferrara right now and tell him to stop freaking out about Devontae Adams. Because
do you know who I dropped last night?
Who's that?
Valdez Scantling.
You did? Oh.
For Randall Cobb.
Oh, well, here's a question. Is Mike Williams droppable for Randall Cobb?
Yeah, he's banged up. It doesn't seem that Herbert's looking for him. I love Mike Williams as a talent, but if you need a receiver this week, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That is huge, huge news, guys. Does it change anything about how you feel about the Green Bay Atlanta game on Monday?
No, Valdez Scantling's a good start. Really. I think we got a question about him before. So, against Atlanta. Look, he's very inconsistent. He has drops, but it's Atlanta. And Rodgers is going to air out. So, MVS moves up the rankings for sure.
Wow, we have so much going on. So, wow, Schefter gave us that. All right. So, guys, if you weren't paying attention, Allen Lazard already underwent core muscle surgery this week, and he is out indefinitely, which obviously is a big hit for the Green Bay Packers, who are already playing without Devontae Adams. Hopefully, Devontae Adams will be back Monday night, but it does start to make some things more clear for those of us who have been frustrated trying to decide whether it was Lazard or MBS. So it looks like it will be MBS in the meantime. And and hey, Aaron Jones.
Oh yeah, I mean, that guy's a stud, man. I'm just glad I got him in our GST league, but that's the only league because he fell to me in the late second round. So
I have him in a league that I also have Dalvin Cook in, and I love it.
I have the same combo. That's the same combo I have in that league. Cook and Jones is how I started my draft.
Right. Well, I started in that league, Henry and Sanders. So obviously not Henry this week, but I like that.
I like that combo too.
Yeah. PPR flex, Ingram, Justin Jefferson, or David Johnson?
David Johnson.
David Johnson should have a good game this week, everybody. What are your thoughts right now about Mark Ingram? Because I'm getting a lot of questions, and I'm starting to feel like Ingram may be someone that we should start downgrading a bit. Like, would you rather have Joshua Kelly or Mark Ingram rest of season?
I probably would have Kelly. I mean, you have to be concerned about it.
Said.
I mean, it's like a three-headed monster there now. They're using Edwards. They're using Dobbins, and there's no kind of rhyme to it. We saw Dobbins have one big week, and it was Edwards. So, and then with Lamar Jackson running in some touchdowns. Yeah, Ingram is definitely – look, I was not high on Ingram at all going into the year, so I don't have him anywhere. I was kind of worried, but it's actually worse than I thought. I did not think it would be like this 3 weeks into the season, but it's a problem in that they're just rotating three backs. So yeah, we do have to downgrade Ingram.
Yeah, we do. Judy or Cole? Full point PPR.
Judy.
All right, Judy. I'm excited to see what happens tonight. See if Judy has a good game. I'd like to play him. I have him in one league, but I haven't really felt confident. So maybe he'll have some good chemistry tonight. Standard league, tight end, Thomas or Cox?
That's a tough one. In a standard, Logan Thomas is getting the targets. The problem is, obviously, it hasn't translated. But I'm going to go with the targets. Hope he finds the end zone. But I'm going to go Logan Thomas. Mo Alley Cox, though, has looked pretty good. He only ran 7 routes last week. That's because they had a big lead against the Jets. Should be more competitive this week. I actually do like him as a backup tight end. I've added him in a couple leagues. But I got to go with Logan Thomas. Even though it's Baltimore, he's getting the targets. He's on the field a lot. So I know he hasn't scored yet, but Logan Thomas for me.
Interesting fact about Mo Alley Cox. Even though Jack Doyle came back last week and Jack Doyle played in twice as many passing plays as Mo Alley Cox, Cox is the one that got the 3 targets. So it does make you wonder, has Phillip Rivers decided he prefers Mo Alley Cox, or is it just that it happened that way? Jack Doyle's still a little banged up, and they always use 2 tight ends in in Indianapolis for lots of different reasons. So I don't know, but it's worth keeping an eye on. If you have a deep league and a lot of bench spots, wouldn't be a bad idea to stash him in case it turns out to be that he is the guy. So yeah, I think he's interesting, but I would also go Logan Thomas here. I agree on Thomas. All right, looking around here. Wow. Check in, guys. Check in over on Periscope if there's anything there. Looks clear. All right, I want to ask you about Carlos Hyde. Do you feel confident starting him if Chris Carson doesn't play?
I didn't see a practice report today for Seattle, but I did see Pete Carroll sounded up. But he's optimistic about everything. But he made it seem like Carson's going to play. So I'm okay playing Hyde if Carson's out. I do think they'll use Homer a little bit in the passing game, but this should be a game they play from ahead against Miami. So yeah, Hyde's an okay start. I think Carson's going to play, and I have put Carson in my rankings as if he's going to play. Obviously, if that changes, I will immediately remove him. So, just remember, the rankings are fluid. So I continue to update them, especially tomorrow when I get a lot of practice news. But that's the thing, as I've said. You only we have limited players tonight. I go through my leagues before the show, and if I see all Sunday and Monday, I don't even worry about it. I'll put a preliminary line, but I don't sweat it. I'll wait. We got time. It's Thursday night. I just worry about the players that are going tonight, make those decisions, and then we'll deal with Sunday and Monday the next couple days. You could spend Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but we have incomplete information right now. We just had news break with Alan Lazard, right? Imagine you asked 20 minutes ago. You asked me last night. Yeah, start Lazard. Great matchup against Atlanta. Now he's out. Now we got to change things. So we got plenty of time before Sunday's games to make these decisions. We want to have the most information at hand. And another thing, Odell Beckham was added to the injury report today with a back issue. I don't think it's serious, but who knows? You don't like seeing players added to the injury report on Thursday.
No, you certainly don't. And that's too bad because I have not been high on Odell Beckham Jr. all season, but this is one game that I would say you've got to start OBJ. And if that's the case, that's a bummer. And as a Cowboys fan, I have to say, I don't mind it. All right. Fant or Ertz in full point PPR?
Ertz. He's going to get so many targets. There's no one left. So got to roll with Ertz.
Yeah. How long do you think Carson Wentz keeps this job?
I mean, he might get banged up and injured.
No. They're not protecting them.
It's ugly right now. Again, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore the next 3 weeks. Wow. This team could be 0-5-1.
I know. It's terrible. It's terrible. I feel terrible for Carson Wentz because he's not getting protected. He's also playing poorly, but he's not being protected. Just the same way that poor Deshaun Watson gets sacked all the time. They use him like a personal punching bag. It makes me so frustrated. But, okay, Paul has been offered 2 deals. He gets Kupp and Goff for Gurley, Edelman, and Breeze. Would you take it?
Wait, he's getting Kupp and Goff?
For Gurley, Edelman, and Breeze.
I don't know. I mean, I don't trust Gurley at all. I've said it. I just don't. He didn't look the same last year. He doesn't look good this year. Last year, he was on a good offense. He was on a better offense that gave him the ball near the goal line. It's not happening here. He's not involved in the passing game. I like Edelman. I was wrong on him so far. I had him pretty low, but Cam is looking for him, and Edelman's making excellent plays. Breeze, not the same player, but can still put up stats. Kupp and Goff. I don't know. I think I'd keep Kupp and Goff. To be honest, I'm just not high on Gurley.
That's what he's saying. He said he would get Kupp and Goff, and he gives up Gurley, Edelman, and Breeze. So you like that one?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Because I don't think Breeze and Goff are that far off at all.
Yeah. And the other trade is he gets Tyreek for Robinson and OBJ.
He gets Tyreek and Allen Robinson?
No, he gets Tyreek.
Right.
Is this Allen Robinson or James Robinson? I was assuming it was James Robinson. Paul, let us know if it's James or Allen.
So wait, he gets Tyreek and James Robinson for Beckham?
No. He gets Tyreek.
Right.
He has to give up Robinson and OBJ. But I don't know which Robinson.
No, I don't think I'd do that. I mean, again, it's what running backs do you have? And people say, I have depth at running back. And I've said it, I'll repeat it again. I say, talk to me next week. Because you see the injuries that happen. You think you have depth at running back, then you get two guys injured, and now you're screwed. Yeah. So I understand the premise if you want to sell high on James Robinson, but I wouldn't do this deal. And I think Beckham is going to be – he's probably not going to live up to the expectations many of us had, but he can still be a wide receiver too. They're not going to be able to run all over everyone every single week. And Baker Mayfield's not going to throw for 100 yards every week. So Beckham is going to get most of those passing yards. He's just probably not going to be, for those that drafted him in the third round, he's not going to live up to that, but he can still be a wide receiver too. So I wouldn't do that trade.
Oh, it was James Robinson. Okay, so we answered it that way. So we prefer the previous trade if you're picking between the two. We prefer that you take Kupp and Goff for Gurley, Edelman, and Breeze. We don't think that you should give up Robinson and OBJ. I agree 100%. I would not give up James Robinson and OBJ. I don't even care who your other running backs are. So would you trade Mahomes for Kamara? The other running backs are Jonathan Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and David Johnson.
Well, the more important question, who's the quarterback?
Yeah, who's your quarterback? Keith, who's your quarterback?
But I would do it probably. I mean, Kamara.
Probably yes, because you can probably even stream a quarterback and be fine.
If we're doing a draft today, Kamara's number one, right? I mean, Brock's out for the year. We don't know when McCaffrey's back, and Kamara is just healthy again. And look how they're feeding him. He right now in the NFL. This is not running backs. This is overall. He's fifth in targets. He's fifth overall in the NFL. That's not even with running backs. That's with wide receivers.
Right. So
sure, they're going to go down a little bit with Thomas back, but he's the centerpiece of that offense, and Breeze is not throwing the ball deep. So, yeah, I mean, I'd make that deal.
The person that asked us earlier about the trade for James Robinson and OBJ for Tyreek, his other running backs are Mixon, Gurley, Harris, and Hines. You cannot make this trade. Mayday, mayday. Don't make the trade. Do not take Tyreek Hill. Also, another thing that you guys need to consider, I don't know if you feel this way, Adam, but I'm starting to feel this way. I feel about the Kansas City Chiefs offense the way I sort of feel about the New England Patriots offense for many years. It's too hard to pick which week, which one of them will go off. And yeah, you kind of want to have it, but it could be Mecole Hardman. It could be Sammy Watkins. It could be Tyreek Hill. And it's usually Tyreek Hill, but there's just so many weapons that they have. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire looks great that I just don't want to put all my eggs in the Tyreek Hill basket when I have someone like James Robinson who's proving to be really, really good. And OBJ, even though I said I'm not high on OBJ, I still think he's very valuable. So that was my little rant. Okay, it's 8:00. And I know that you guys are all so excited that you have to run right now to watch the Jets-Broncos game. Really, really important Thursday night TV. As we mentioned, there have been so many injuries. There are so many issues with postponement. We will be here on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time, myself and Howard Bender, taking all your questions and helping you with your start sits. In the meantime, there is a 24/7 chat on fantasyalarm.com. Please feel free to write in your questions. You have really, really smart minds in the chat room. John and Pemba, Matt Sells, Justin Vreeland, Dan Malin. The list goes on and on, Ryan Hallam. So please take advantage of all of that. And follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitter, because we will be around Adam, good luck to you this weekend.
Good luck to you too. We don't play each other, so I can root for you to win everything.
Are we ever going to play each other? Are we in any league where we play each other?
No.
I actually don't think we. This is very sad.
I'll have to hop in your DFS contest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You guys play my DFS contest because Adam's playing this week. $5 over at FanDuel, FanDuel.com/waiverwired. Come try to beat me and Adam Ronis. And have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Sunday.